Welcome, everyone, to the return of Mayhemtainment, brought to you by Mayhem Media and the Boiling Point Podcast, and, of course, JDEDESIGNz. From my new home, my new location, and this is going to be our new backdrop, at least temporarily, until I get the green screen and get some more stuff set up. I was looking at the prices today, so... maybe in the next couple of weeks.
The acoustics in here are phenomenal. I feel like I'm in a freaking concert hall.
Yeah, we need to get some more stuff up on the walls yet, but it's coming together nicely, and I'm back to shooting podcasts again, both for Mayhemtainment here and the Boiling Point Podcast, so look for new episodes to start flowing pretty regularly. I am joined by my co-host, the Master of Merc, and we're going to be talking about wrestling in this episode, and something big happened.
Well, I mean, that is the understatement of the year, JD. Like, seriously, Vince McMahon stepping away from all of his duties at WWE as CEO, as head of the creative, fully stepping back.
Yep.
According to official releases.
Yeah, he resigned as CEO and chairman, which means now he is nothing more than just a shareholder in the company.
CM Punk disagrees. CM Punk thinks he will still stay very much hands-on, just in the background. But
I think so too.
We'll see what happens.
But the only thing that makes me question that is because Stephanie stepped away from the company, and now because Vince was getting with all the stuff with Vince.
Yes, we should probably start there. The reason why this is all happening is because Vince McMahon WWE is a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
There are several laws, finance laws, and just like you can't just go spending company money willy-nilly.
No, you can't do that.
And you especially can't just go spending company money without reporting it to the shareholders, reporting it to the board. And it has now come to light that Vince said there is a $3.4 million discrepancy of personal payments that Vince McMahon has made throughout the years.
Yeah.
So a little under $14.5 million. There are rumblings that Vince might face some prison time. I see that highly, highly unlikely. He is rich as shit. He's got more than enough funds to fight this forever. I more imagine he'll end up paying some pretty hefty fines, maybe some like probation, some limits on his travel overseas or something like that. But I see it highly unlikely that Vince actually sees any jail time from this.
Well, even if it wasn't a publicly traded company, he had a board of directors, which means he had other investors. So when you have other investors, that's when you can't do what you want. If he was the sole owner and sole proprietor of the company, then he could do whatever he wanted with the money.
The difference between it being a publicly traded company and just having a board, if it was just a board, it would just be an internal thing. He would be pushed out and that would be the end of it. Since it's a publicly traded company, that's where the law comes into effect.
Yes.
Which is why he could be facing some legal consequences from this along the road.
At least some hefty fines.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. I imagine they're going to fine the crap out of him, maybe throw him on probation for a couple of months. If he sees jail time, it'll be like 30 days, if that.
Yeah.
And again... the American legal system loves rich people. He's not going to go to jail.
I doubt it. He will pay some hefty fines though. So now with that, Stephanie McMahon has taken over as chairwoman and CEO,
who had previously completely stepped away from the company.
Yeah, and then Triple H is now in charge of creative.
And he's the head of the talent relations and the head of creative.
Oh, talent relations too. Yeah, talent relations and creative.
He has resumed his old position, which was executive head of talent relations, and he has also taken on the head of creative. Bruce Pritchard is out. Vince McMahon is out.
Yeah.
It's a new day, supposedly, in the WWE. There have been some ripples already. Vince McMahon, chosen boy Austin Theory, has been shat on WWE TV. During Raw, they pretty much had Roman Reigns and the Bloodline eviscerate him, and then later in the night, Brock Lesnar came out and beat him, 6 ways senseless with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So, there's already been some ripples in the WWE product, but it is very fair and very safe to say that, according to reports, all of the storylines through SummerSlam are already in iron. Nothing is really going to change until SummerSlam comes around. Once SummerSlam comes around, Triple H apparently wants to make a creative splash at SummerSlam that will pretty much mark off his era of WWE TV. They're going to finish up whatever storylines they got going on. I imagine SummerSlam is going to be a little bit chaotic because they're going to be trying to like. We're
going to circle back to Brock for a minute because he walked out. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to talk about. He did
come back. He did work the night.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But there's speculation that was because of Vince. But Brock is obviously he did come back.
It was reported that Brock's words were, "If he's gone, I'm gone."
Yeah. And then he probably learned what happened. He probably spoke without knowing the facts, Brock Lesnar, and
probably made a call to Vince, who was like, "Listen, Brock, you just need to freaking relax for half a second.
Yeah, because all this
get your ass back to work, and I'll call you in the morning."
I did pay out $14.5 million to women that I had sexual favors with. Now, yes. I want to speculate though on what Triple H might be doing because I think this is something that WWE should do. In the wake of AEW, Vince McMahon being gone, the only way I think to really change the current era that you're in, because that's how the WWE has always operated.
Yes.
Different eras. Mm-hmm. And I think the only way to get past and move on into a new era is to end the brand extension. There should be no more Raw roster and SmackDown roster. It should be all one roster.
I've never been a fan of separating the brands, of separating the roster. I've never been a fan of that. I thought it was a bad idea from the beginning. I did understand it because they were pushing their superstars very, very hard in those days, making Raw, 2 or 3 house shows, and then SmackDown.
Well, see, the thing is that when they did it, that was right after they had acquired WCW.
Yes, they had a very fat roster. They had a lot of superstars,
and with when your company who already has likely 40 or 50 rosters or 50 roster spots, and then you add another 50. Yeah. To that, you double your roster size, basically. That makes sense. Separating the shows, especially after they did the invasion angle, I understood why they did it initially.
Yes.
They are not in that boat anymore.
I fully agree.
I don't believe that they have the talent to continue to fill out these 2 shows. I think that
completely agree.
And I think AEW is doing their 2 shows very good because Dynamite is Dynamite's like their main show, the one on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And then Rampage is it's their secondary show. Not every storyline carries into Rampage,
but I think that's several that do. You still see the stars on Rampage, but it also gives the Young Bucks, the guys not the
tag team Young Bucks, but the young wrestlers, new wrestlers.
It gives the younger guys a chance to go out there and show what they've got on national television.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Rampage is where you usually see your Danhausens. It's where you see your Wheeler Yutas. It's where you see Jade Cargill wrestles a lot, for what it's worth on Rampage. You see a lot of the names that but the people that they're going against a lot of times you might not know. You might be getting a good look at them for the first time, or maybe, and every now and then they just throw a banger ass Bryan Danielson John Moxley match as the main event.
Yeah, just like they did in the 90s. They had a good SmackDown was the secondary show, but they always featured so much good talent and undercard talent that it shined. And
I don't know.
Thunder for WCW was always a little iffy. I don't know that they should have undertaken that.
I don't know if
WCW didn't do a good job with their secondary show.
In fact, that's a lie. I do know why. I think it was because of the existence of Sunday Night Heat. I never really considered SmackDown a secondary show. Especially at the beginning, SmackDown they were trying to push SmackDown just as big as Raw, even before the brand extension. Yeah. The Rock did his best work on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle did some of their best work on SmackDown.
Yeah, but it's not their flagship show.
No, but I never really considered it a secondary show. If anything, more like a 1.5 or something. I always considered SmackDown as important.
Well,
I definitely consider Rampage a secondary show, but I never saw SmackDown like that. I always saw them
I see Rampage just the same way SmackDown was and the same way Thunder was, as not like a secondary show, because I guess you're right, WCW Saturday Night, WWF Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah.
Those were your secondary shows. But, I mean, I guess what I mean was not their flagship, not their staple show.
Not their Raw, their Dynamite.
Yeah.
And I definitely understand that, but... Again, just pushing the way that I was thinking of it, especially back in the early 2000s, late 90s, SmackDown was just as important for me to watch as Raw. I never really saw SmackDown.
Yeah, you're right.
I understand it was technically their secondary show, but in my mind, it was always must-see TV. And I'm starting to feel that way about Rampage lately, too.
Yes, I think Rampage has been going very good. I think they're doing a good job at balancing Rampage with having good, some big names on there to attract the attention and showcase some of their up and coming talent as well.
So word behind from sources behind the scenes, NXT is more than likely going to go right back to black and gold. They're going to get rid of the whole NXT 2.0 update, which I cannot stress enough how great that is. NXT had a great thing going. And
I'd say you keep NXT separate. Like I get why NXT is separate, being like it's like an up and coming show. That's like their training, their school show. I get that, and I think leaving NXT separate is the right way to go in terms of brand expansion.
Shawn Michaels has reportedly already been given all of his authority as head of NXT back. Triple H is going to be heading the WWE brands. Triple H is already it's already been felt backstage from and this reports from actual wrestlers who are like. The creative is already completely different. Like Triple H wants to have like a community creative environment. So he's got Paul Heyman in there. He's got himself in there. He's talking to the wrestlers about getting their opinions. And I don't want to say that there's a lot of people online who are the era of Triple H, long live John, Paul Levesque, long may he reign. He was raised under the Vince McMahon era. I don't want to say that it's not going to change some things, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to just be like, after SummerSlam, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a slower thing. I think he's going to get the NXT sorted out first, and then he's going to start working out the roster, his decisions, his stories going forward.
I also think you can't just change the culture of the locker room and the backstage area. That's going to take time and months and getting people,
used to the new system.
Yeah, and it's a regime change. It is a regime change. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are going to be firing people, putting new people into positions.
They have already done so.
But that takes time still. You know what I mean? It's going to take time. It's not just going to be and all of a sudden, they changed and the product's better. It's going to be, like you said, over a few weeks, over a couple months.
Yes.
Get it to a couple pay-per-views, start writing new stories.
To be fair, Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon are co-CEOs. Nick Khan is still very much in the picture, and Nick Khan is very much a Vince McMahon guy.
Yeah,
like he was brought up on the tee to Papa Vinny. Like he was.
I think he's just showing Steph the ropes. Honestly, that's what I think.
I mean, I don't see that Nick Khan's going to. At some point, they're going to buy Nick Khan out. At some point, they're going to buy Nick Khan out.
Does he own company?
Oh, I imagine he's got to have a shit ton of stock. Yeah,
you may be right.
I imagine
but that doesn't mean he gets to serve as CEO.
That's very true. I imagine at some point Nick Khan will retire. They'll buy him out with a generous retirement package or buy out his shares in some way. It's obviously the future is Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah, I think Nick Khan's just there because Vince has always played things close to the vest, so I don't know how much did Stephanie get to learn about the chairman CEO job.
I mean, she was working for WWE corporate for a long time, even behind the scenes when she wasn't on TV
she's not
and everything.
In those meetings with Bruce Pritchard and
I mean, she was running the women's division there for quite a while. Like you got to give credit where credit's due with Stephanie McMahon. She's been doing this since she was 16 years old.
Yeah.
She's been doing stuff for the company, doing stuff for the business, whether it be on screen or behind the scenes.
Including modeling.
Since she was 16 years old.
Yeah, that's when she started. She started modeling for the WWF magazine at the time.
You gotta give mass credit to Stephanie. I think she's perfect for the role.
None of that. I'm just saying, I think
CEO.
I think Nick Khan is just there. I think Nick Khan is there to help her with some of the stuff that she wasn't there, the day-to-day operations. I don't think she got to shadow Vince McMahon.
I mean, he was her dad. Like, I imagine she got to shadow him.
She wasn't in on the meetings when he was paying off the women.
Well, I mean, obviously not, but I doubt Nick Khan was either, or otherwise he'd probably be gone too.
Oh, he's definitely been involved in it too. That's just JD speculation, of course. I have nothing to back that up. That's just
I'm thinking Stephanie is going to be great. I think
absolutely.
her and Nick Khan are either sharing duties or what's. I have no idea what's going on with Nick Khan. As far as I'm concerned, Stephanie McMahon is the CEO of WWE, and
between the two of them, between Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, they're handling the stuff. It's on them now.
I think we see NXT change the quickest. I think we see them go right back to the black and gold before too much longer, honestly, because that's where their future stars are coming from. Right now, NXT 2.0 is based on outlandish, creations and huge characters and bright colors everywhere and flashing stuff and yay, NXT 2.0. I think it's very, very quickly going to go back to the attitude of the black and gold era. where it is a place to come and prove yourself and get your skills back up. But now they're, William Regal gone, Road Dogg Jesse James gone, although he'll probably be hired back. Like half of their coaching staff, they just straight up came in and fired. So, and a lot of their talent is now in AEW. So
and locked down.
Tony Khan pretty much signed everybody for 5-year deals.
Adam Cole is going to be locked in until 2027. Malachi Black has 5 more years left on his deal, and those were just this.
Claudio Castagnoli is locked up for 5 years.
Brian Danielson.
I think he's locked up long term. Him.
The
Punk.
Young Bucks, CM Punk. I mean, they got these guys for they're not going anywhere. So it's not just going to be they're coming back to the WWE.
One of the questions I'll be very, very interested to answer is how is Cody Rhodes treated when he comes back from his injury now that Triple H is in charge?
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes literally went onto an AEW pay-per-view and took a sledgehammer to a throne that had Triple H's symbol on it. Like,
I don't know if they'll hold that. I don't know if they'll hold that to him. He did. I think with what he just did when he came back to the WWE, he tore his pec muscle in that match
and then wrestled that match,
dude. I mean, I think that might have earned him some respect.
Crazy.
I think that might have earned him some extra respect.
I mean, and it's not like Hunter hasn't done a bunch of crazy shit back in the '90s and shit like that.
Not just that, but who else do they have that is really going to be?
I mean, they're still pushing Roman. Brock's still coming back left and right.
Roman.
Like
Brock is only ever going to be a part-time wrestler, and if you put the I think that's a huge mistake. WWE, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. If Brock is not willing to wrestle 12 months out of the year, you can't let him have the title for all of those 12 months. So I don't think giving Brock
both the titles have been on Roman for a while now. Also, Roman's putting the work in.
Also, stupid.
Yeah, to have the 2 brand splits and then put both of your championships on Roman
That's why
Reigns.
I think we're on. That's why I don't think we're gonna have the brand split much longer. I think you were talking about Triple H maybe making a big splash or a big change or something at SummerSlam, shortly after SummerSlam.
Roman doesn't lose those belts at SummerSlam. Roman only loses those belts at WrestleMania. That's the only way those belts get lost. It's only at a WrestleMania. There's no other way.
I think he loses one, and then whenever they figure out how to stop the brand extension, when they want to remerge everything, then you have someone and Roman fight to remerge the titles. Because right now the titles are merged. So merging the brands right now gets you nothing in terms of extra storyline, extra pop, extra matches.
Well, I mean, everybody's almost completely convinced that the plan for WrestleMania this year is Roman versus The Rock. That was before Vince retired.
That's so stupid, too.
I mean, come on, dude. You can't say that's not a multi-million-dollar match. Like, there will be people that watch WrestleMania simply for that match.
The history of WWE is taking family or taking tag teams, doing great things with them, and then having them wrestle each other. It's the same old recipe.
The Rock has not done dick since the Bloodline has come up.
It has been that way for 40 years in the WWE.
You cannot sit there and tell me this whole Bloodline storyline has not been purpose-built for a Rock match.
Probably.
For the Rock coming back and the Rock versus Roman.
No, you're right. That sounds just as predictable as WWE
because Roman has been out here that I lead this family. I'm the tribal chief. I'm the one that leads it. And then he destroys everybody. Unifies the titles. Runs through everybody. Runs through Brock Lesnar 6 times now, WWE?
Which is also dumb.
Literally every... Yeah, this is like Lesnar Reigns 6 at SummerSlam. It's like the 6th time they've pay-per-viewed each other. But anyway, you set up all this Bloodline stuff. The payout is the Rock match at SummerSlam.
I agree with you.
The Rock comes back. I'm the leader of this tribal chief, the people's chief, the people, blah, blah, blah. And then the match at Mania with Limp Bizkit singing in the background and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and you're probably right. I agree with you that that's likely where it's going.
It's a multi-million-dollar match.
I think it's predictable and it's typical WWE. That's what they do. I mean, that's what they do.
I think that's what it's been.
I also think that both Jay and Jimmy Uso side with The Rock at some point during that feud before WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, they absolutely turn on Roman at some point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think that was Vince's plan. Now we don't know the fucking plan.
You can't do anything else.
We have no... I mean, yes, it has been built this long, but if Triple H wants to make a creative splash, he could 86 that whole shit if he really wanted to. If he is truly the head of creative and Vince isn't pulling the strings in the back... I mean, Triple H is, from what I've heard anyway, never been the biggest fan of Roman.
No, that's good, because I don't think Roman is that good. I think he could be a good heel, but I don't think he should be dual champion.
He's got technical skill.
He's not that good in the ring.
He's not great on the mic.
And
his finisher sucks. His
finisher sucks. As Merc has said on more than one occasion, the man jerks off his fist. And what kind of a finisher is that?
It's not much of a finisher.
No, it's crap. And so they want to boo him. People don't like Roman Reigns, and I get the bloodline's like heel now.
Yeah.
So I get that finally you're doing it, and eventually if you do it correctly, then they might actually cheer for him, just like they did with The Rock.
I mean, they kind of are. During his whole takedown of Austin Theory on this last Raw, like the crowd was with him. The crowd was kind of cheering.
They should have
him.
did it 5 years ago. That's the thing. They did it with The Rock. The Rock came in and he was the
I mean,
face, and
Roman
he was
really
the young boy, and
they really couldn't with Roman, though. I mean, because he went away for the leukemia thing for a while. Like, he lost like 2-3 years of his career because of the leukemia. Like,
and then when they brought him back, he should have been right heel. He should have used.
I mean, they brought him back with Paul Heyman and turned him heel. Like, that's where this whole bloodline thing has come from. Yeah,
okay. Well,
like,
see, there you go. That's what I'm saying.
He came back when Brock lost the titles. He came back with Paul Heyman, and that's been the bloodline, the tribal chief since then. Like, it's gone through different incarnations.
Yeah, and I don't have anything wrong with the bloodline. It seems pretty natural to team Roman Reigns up. It's kind of
the only thing WWE's really got right now that's keeping my interest at all. The bloodline, RK Bro was cool.
Do they have a woman
in the bloodline?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No, because there's no more Sasha Banks.
So.
Where is she? Why is she not in the bloodline? That would have been great a way to include a woman into a high-profile stable
with
WWE.
all this shit that's coming out, it wouldn't surprise me if like Vince or Bruce said something fucking sexist or something to Sasha and Naomi, and that's why they left.
Yeah,
like, they were not being treated right.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
You squandered yet another opportunity. You could have put both those girls into the bloodline and had them dominate the women's division too.
Fully agree.
Squandered
they were the freaking women's tag team champs, which they haven't done anything with yet. On the day after, the Raw after SmackDown, whatever one. The one after they walked out, they said, "Oh, we're going to hold another tournament for the vacant women's tag team belts," and they haven't done dick.
Nope.
Those belts are just sitting there not doing anything. That's pretty much written them off.
Yeah, and when Merc and I will do an episode. It'll probably have to be like a 3 or 4 part episode of all the squandered opportunities that the WWE has had.
Jesus.
And made
we could make a whole side series about that.
Yeah, there's 2 episodes just on the invasion alone, everybody, and then another 2 episodes on when they tried to resurrect the NWO.
Oh God.
No, seriously, they squander opportunities. But speaking of championships and the women's tag belts, let's shift to AEW now.
Before we shift, I do have one question I want to ask you guys.
Yeah, then.
Given everything you know, do you have any interest in watching SummerSlam, catching a Raw soon, giving them a couple of, like, what do you plan on going back to the WWE product? After SummerSlam, in a couple of months after Tripp has made some changes, like, do you have any desire to check out the product now that Tripp may or may not actually be in charge?
Probably not in the short term, because I don't think anything changes really in the short term.
No, they've got to work all their storylines
out. I think
it
takes time in the short term, and I think it's going to take time to. It can't just be, we're talking about, and I think Triple H and Stephanie are going to make great changes in terms of storyline, in terms of the way decisions are made, and the way that they write.
The overall goodness of the product.
Yes, my concern is the WWE is not going to push how important the actual wrestling is. WWE, in my opinion, has never measured up in terms of wrestling compared to the WCW and now the AEW. They put on better wrestling matches.
Impact.
Than the WWE has. Now, I'm not saying that every WWE match is terrible. Of course, they have some great matches. Bret Hart and Stone Cold had some unbelievable matches. Stone Cold and The Rock had some unbelievable matches. There are some great matches in the WWE history. But watch your average every night Raw, then watch your average every night AEW Dynamite. You're going to see very, very different in-ring products. We're talking about bell to bell here, not talking on the mic.
Yeah.
Not fluff and storyline.
Not a 20-minute promo to begin Raw.
Yeah, we're talking about actual wrestling matches. Look at the wrestling product, and AEW is still, even with these changes, are going to continue to put on a superior product, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I can't argue with you at all there. I agree with everything you said, with the one exception of, I think Stephanie has always been a little bit more wrestling-minded. I mean, look what she did to the women's division. She took it from TNA and Jello matches and bra and panty matches
and made a legitimate
technical wrestling women's division out of it. Yeah. I think maybe Stephanie's influence is that we see a little bit more of that. And I mean, Hunter is...
That would be nice.
Well, he's not a Dean Malenko ring tactician. He is a former wrestler. Vince McMahon was not a former wrestler. Bruce Pritchard was a former wrestler, but he was one of the old school guys. Like,
former wrestler.
I honestly think that maybe and what we saw when Triple H and Shawn Michaels were in charge of NXT, if we see that at a main roster level where Triple H gets in good wrestlers, gets in Adam Cole and freaking Finn Balor and freaking Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly level wrestlers and gets them to main roster, like... he's obviously going to be behind about 5 years because all of the people that he had handpicked for this 5 years ago are now in AEW. So he's going to have to start over again. He's going to have to get NXT back up and running. He's going to have to build the stars in NXT and then bring them up to the main roster. Yeah. But I think we see more of that. I think we see a little bit more of the mind towards the technical aspect of it because Vince is gone. Vince was the definition of old school.
Yeah.
He was the last of the old guard.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette's not running shows anymore except for like indie places where he gets a ring in the middle of a gymnasium. Like... none of those old school guys from the 70s and 80s are really running shows anymore. Dusty's gone, may he rest in peace. Ric Flair's all but gone now.
Well, like, yeah. And these guys, and there was nothing wrong with any of these guys. Even Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette knows wrestling.
They put on great shows in their time, but they put on a different wrestling.
Yeah.
And wrestling as all forms of entertainment evolve over the lifetime. Like the game changes.
See, if I owned a wrestling company, I'd hire someone like a Jim Cornette or something. But it would be about wrestling angles. Like I would never ask him about, because he's terrible when it comes to like gimmick matches or gimmick set stunts or anything like that. He's the worst. Jim Cornette's the worst in terms of anything gimmicky, but he's good at booking matches and helping wrestlers tell stories.
I could not disagree more. This man booked himself in a match against a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
That's why I mean
he's not
good. He's not good at gimmicking. He's not good at gimmicking. He's good at keep him out of it and the gimmicky shit.
I'm not a big fan of corny.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like we were talking about, it's, the old guard is changing. It's time for something new.
The wrestling, just as big as it was a revolution in the way they changed the business in the 80s and 90s, it's happening again.
Yeah.
The matches are becoming faster. It's becoming more of a spot fest. I mean, it is. Whether you like it or not, the matches are becoming more of spot fest. They're becoming quicker. Everybody's doing these tornado DDTs and flipping double shits off I mean, you still have your powerhouses, you still have your Hobbs, you still have your Keith Lees, like you still have your monsters, but the matches themselves are just overall much faster than they were a decade before and decade before. I mean, and
I love in AEW. I love seeing when. I mean, these are great matches. There's where it's building up to a spot and then they do something big, and then building up to a spot and then they do something big, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I always love when they get back. Occasionally you'll see it in AEW where you'll see people, put a rear chin lock and then they reverse into a hammer lock and then another reversal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The technical side, the mat work.
It has to be both. It has to be hand in hand with both.
And I think AEW does a great job of doing that. Yeah. WWE is a little bit missing from that now. Like
WWE's always been more brawling. You always see more wrestlers throwing punches than doing body slams or vertical suplexes in WWE.
And I think one of the things I hope we see, especially from Triple H, is that he cuts down on the 20-minute promos to open Raw. I understand there are promos. You want your champion to go out there and talk to the crowd. You want to have your spots. You want to have your promos. But it's a wrestling show.
The reason that was so popular in the 90s was because normally you start, usually the TV, and Dynamite has been doing it too. You open up, the wrestlers are already in the ring.
Ready to go.
And as soon as they open up, welcome to Dynamite, and the bell rings. And then the match is starting.
Maybe, if it's a big star, they'll do the big guy's entrance while somebody's already in the ring.
That's the way it used to be done. And then all of a sudden, one time, somebody decided to come out and cut a promo, and everybody loved it because it was something different.
Yeah.
But the thing about something different is that if you just continue to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, it gets boring.
Yeah.
Especially at a wrestling show where wrestling should be the primary focus. That's the other thing. WWE has always been more about theater than about the actual wrestling. I hope that's something
Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah, They're the World Wrestling Federation.
They are not pro wrestlers. They are superstars.
Yeah. Guess what? So are AEW. They're athletes. They're professional wrestlers. They're professional wrestlers. They're sports entertainers. They're storytellers. AEW has all of the above. WWE does not have wrestlers. They have sports entertainers. They have storytellers. But they have no wrestlers.
Seth Rollins is a wrestler. There are exceptions. I will say that Seth Rollins is good. I would have loved to have seen what could have happened with a Seth Rollins in TNA, AEW, not under the WWE, what they've done with him. They have underused Seth Rollins in a way that I believe is criminal.
Yeah.
Everybody in the Shield.
You mean the same way they used Dean Ambrose?
Superstars. Everybody in the Shield should have been megastars. That faction should have stuck together for years. When they broke, it should have been earth-shattering.
Another thing that WWE does, put together great stables and then just end them early.
Yeah,
they don't know how to make
with somebody and with a company that has Eric Bischoff on retainer, like, you would imagine that they'd be able to get some stable warfare going. Because if Eric Bischoff's shown one thing, it's that he's really good at stable warfare.
But was he?
I mean, the NWO.
Wait a minute, hold on. I love the NWO. NWO, great. It revolutionized wrestling, one of the best stories ever in all of wrestling history. I loved every minute of it. And I love it even more now that I'm older and can appreciate it from a different way.
Exactly.
But that was just a faction that recruited as many wrestlers as a wrestling company.
All right, near the end.
Feuded. No, not at the end there. Okay, because see, it started with Hall, and then a few weeks later Nash came in, and then Bash at the Beach Hogan joins, and then a few weeks later DiBiase's there, then Giants there, then Vincent, then Six. Then they start breaking up tag teams. The American Males break up. Buff Bagwell joins the NWO. The Steiners break up. Scott Steiner joins the NWO. Eric Bischoff dismantles every tag team on the roster, puts one member on the NWO, the other member goes to die in the mid-card.
Everybody knows that Eric Bischoff hates tag team wrestling. That is the one thing that him and Vince McMahon have always agreed on.
Which I couldn't disagree more on. But what I'm saying is,
it's important to have a good tag team division.
But how good was Eric Bischoff? Because he really only told one good story: the NWO versus the WCW. And even then, he started telling it so one-sidedly that people were getting tired of it. People got tired of watching the NWO beat the shit out of every single WCW star on the roster.
Yeah.
That gets boring. It was cool to the first 5 or 6 Nitros you end with an all-out war of NWO members and WCW members in the ring and just 15 or 30 guys in the ring throwing fists and throwing each other out. That's exciting. But then, on night, the 15th week and the 20th week, and every night it's ending with WCW wrestlers getting their ass kicked by NWO.
He's the best to have done it yet. He's pulled it off better than anybody else. Let me say that. He may have not been great, but who's done it better? Name somebody who's done it better than Bischoff.
No, because Vince is the only other one that has had the opportunity to do something as big as the NWO, and he squandered it both times.
I mean, as of right now, there is no denying that Bischoff is the
reigning king
of faction warfare. Like, he's the only one who's been able to do it.
You
got to give Tony Khan
a bit of credit. He's
working on it.
Tony Khan is doing great with stable warfare right now.
You got the Elite. You got the Blackpool Combat Club.
Well, the Elite. Well, they're something different right now, aren't they? What are they?
Undisputed Elite.
Yeah, the Undisputed Elite.
They're not doing a whole
lot.
Adam Cole's injured, Kenny Omega's injured, the Bucks are taking a break. The Elite's not really in the picture right now. Even with the Elite out of the picture, you have the Blackpool Combat Club, you have the House of Black, you have Team Taz, you have Jade Cargill and the Baddies. I'm pretty sure Team Taz is on its way out.
And Jade Cargill and the Baddies is a stable, but a woman's stable, and there are no other women's stables other than her.
I mean, Thunderstorm, Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm, if they get a third member, that's officially a stable.
All right. They broke up Jungle Express.
They did.
That was one of their 3-man teams.
It's mainly they just had Christian Cage.
I noticed they got Tully Blanchard now doing something a little different, Tully Blanchard Enterprises.
Tully Blanchard is no longer contracted with AEW.
Oh, well, then I'm still, like I said, a couple episodes behind.
Yeah,
they're still pushing Tully Blanchard Enterprises.
Yeah, Tully
Why would
Tully
they
split.
do that? See, that's stupid. There you go.
I'm not 100% sure what the story was, but Tully straight up split. I'm pretty sure it was Tully's decision, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, probably because they weren't utilizing him correctly, and I'm sorry they haven't been. They haven't been.
They tried to. They tried to push that pinnacle, I give all love, and I love Tully Blanchard, one of the greatest in the history. But he hasn't really contributed.
And the problem with FTR is that they are also anywhere else other than AEW. They have Bret Hart following them around. So that's the issue with FTR.
Bret Hart can't. He's
not to AEW.
Yeah.
Yes,
he can. That's right. Yeah. He's only got a merchandise contract. I mean, Bret Hart has done interviews recently.
But Tully Blanchard should have had a stable, is what I'm saying. He should have had his own stable.
He did. He had several stables. He had FTR, he had the Pinnacle, he had...
Again, FTR, he could only do an AEW. They were with Bret everywhere else. Pinnacle was MJF's stable, not Tully Blanchard's stable.
He was in it, and he was. I don't really care. You're not wrong.
That's what I'm saying. He should have.
Tully should have gotten a chance to reform the Four Horsemen.
Pinnacle should have been his stable, and MJF should have shut the hell up.
It's Ric Flair's fault if you go back to it. Honestly, I mean, maybe not his fault, but
where's Arn?
Vice. Arn is still working with him.
Well,
Arn's still there.
The Rhodes family disappeared, and so now he's done.
Arn is mainly focused on teaching his son. He teaches at the Nightmare Factory.
What about who do you think we put with Sting? Who do they think they put with Sting?
I mean, I think they stay Sting and Darby Allin.
No way.
I don't think.
Or a woman. I think you add a woman to it, or a third member. I think
they've been going back and forth for a while now. It'll be Sting and Darby Allin and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and it'll be Sting and Darby with Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. They use Sting and Darby Allin as all right, this person needs backup. Who's it going to be? It's Sting and Darby Allin.
I think they need somebody else. I think it's time Sting and Darby Allin starts.
I don't think Sting does a faction. Sting's got PT. The character of Sting has PTSD from faction wars. I don't think
that's true.
I don't think Sting does a faction. I think they stay Sting and Darby Allin. They use them wherever they need them at the time because Sting's great for that. Sting putting on great matches in his fucking 60s.
Sting is putting on great performances as well. Not just great matches, but great performances, even when he's not. I'm sorry, but him and Malachi Black staring each other down.
That was so good. And then Miro coming out. I never saw Miro coming out. That was crazy.
I thought, that's what I'm saying. They need a Miro or add a woman to Sting and Darby Allin. They need more. They need something else.
I think they're just like I was just saying it. Now it's going to be Sting and Darby Allin and Miro.
Yeah, but they need a third person. I think I'm tired of seeing them rotate. I get what they're doing with them. I get it. It's a nod to the old school thing where two guys rotate around and help, and they're just good guys.
Yeah,
just general good guys, and go around and help whoever needs a hand, and that's great. I think it's time for something more than that. Darby Allin cannot get stuck in this limbo with Sting. I really
don't know.
I love Sting. I love Darby Allin. I love them both. I don't want to see the storyline that they're eventually, of course, going to run where Darby Allin turns on Sting.
Oh, I don't see that happening.
Of course,
they won't turn Darby Allin.
Or maybe
heel.
I'm just have shell shock from
they won't turn Darby Allin heel. They won't turn. No, Darby Allin's too much of a draw. They won't turn him heel.
Sting can play a heel.
No, Sting doesn't go heel. There's no way.
He can play a heel.
You don't go heel during your legend run. You just don't.
Tully Blanchard does.
It's always been a heel.
That's true, though. And
as much as I love Tully,
and also
Tully's not a draw. Nobody was buying a ticket to Dynamite or turning on Dynamite to see Tully.
They need to let him
people buy tickets and turn on Dynamite to see Sting.
Yes, and FTR.
Very much FTR. We're big fans of FTR here. Big fan.
I am a huge. They're probably I would probably give them my favorite tag team.
There's no. They are I mean, I have to include them in the greatest of all time. They're top 3 greatest of all time at this point.
I think
their
so too.
accomplishments.
I think so too.
They're the best doing it right now, and they're top 3 all time.
Yeah. Now before others, we're going to talk about a couple more things here, but since we're talking about wrestlers and different performances, I love that Arn Anderson has shown every single wrestler in AEW how to do a spine buster.
I know, right? It's listen, here's your tryout for AEW. First thing you got to do is spend 2 hours here with Arn learning how to do a proper spine buster.
Yeah,
because literally everybody when they pull them off has that snap with it.
Yeah,
bam!
I just watched Hobbs do it to Keith Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, I watched. I was like, he's not going to spine buster Keith Lee.
Big man like Keith Lee and making it look that good.
He did the snap.
Yes,
too.
He did.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
To 280, 300 pound Keith fucking Lee.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Hobbs, you have got, I think, one of the second or third dirtiest spine buster that I've seen in recent.
And Hobbs is a big boy too, so that was a fucking hit.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy spine buster. I was like, oh man, Arn there must be like a line. Arn's just got a booth backstage. Arn a spine buster. And a DDT for that matter, really. I mean, the DDTs are also.
Jake was there too for how long?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'd love to see Jake the Snake back and have him.
I'm not sure that he's
do the Lance Archer run for real.
I'm not even sure that he's still with him anymore.
Seriously.
He might still be under contract, but I have not seen him.
I don't like seeing it from
on
AEW
TV or anything.
I don't like seeing squandered opportunities from AEW. I don't like it. I don't like seeing squandered opportunities.
People
from AEW.
are people, homie. People. Things happen. Like, people want out of their contracts or disagree with the booking.
Well, they should
like
understand what I want.
I mean, Lito Rush was in and out of AEW. Brian Cage is obviously dissatisfied with his booking. Jonathan Grisham literally, like...
No, Brian Cage is with the new stable. What's that new stable?
He was with Tully, and now that Tully's gone, who the fuck knows where he's going to end up?
That's what it was. Like, it was with Tully. You stupid fool. See, they're giving you your own stable, and then you leave when they're giving you exactly what you should be having. Then you leave. That's what I don't like. Squandered opportunities. And not just from AEW, stupid Tully Blanchard, you old man. Stupid old man.
Tell me how you really feel, JD.
I'm pissed off. That's how I feel about it.
Apparel.
I don't like that Tully Blanchard's a fool or that AEW's moronic. Both of those things do not make me happy.
I disagree that AEW is moronic.
I said or.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Whether it was Tully Blanchard that wanted out of his contract, in which case he's a dumbass old man. If it was AEW who didn't utilize him correctly or give him a new contract, then they're moronic.
AEW 100% has a talent relations problem. They need to hire a head of talent relations, somebody whose job it is to speak to the wrestlers and keep everybody, if not happy, at least communicated to.
Yeah, and
Tony Khan is obviously Tony is obviously a little overwhelmed by all that stuff. Like, he needs a head of talent relations. Yes. He needs a Triple H.
Tony Khan, I'm available. Okay,
yeah, I reach out to me. I'm available.
You should just hire the both of us. Yes. We can be whatever position. Yeah, exactly.
We'll keep everybody happy.
Absolutely. And so you can reach out to me at jdboilingpoint@gmail.com if you would like me to fill that role for you.
He's not kidding. He'll take the job.
I will take the job. I will also help you with booking.
You'd have to probably move to Jacksonville.
I don't care where I have to move to. You can also get me real cheap.
I mean, not real cheap.
Well, not super cheap, but cheaper than probably you could get most people.
75, 80 grand a year.
I would accept that. So send me an email. Give me a call. Let's work out the details. Also, I'm going to give you this advice free. You have too many belts, Merc.
So too many belts. This is something we've been talking about for a few episodes. We brought this up. AEW has a confirmed, untreated case of too many belt-itis.
Yes.
Not only have they recently brought in the All-Atlantic title, which, fun fact, Pac defended for the first time on Dark.
Yeah.
On Dark.
Yep.
Now they have also announced the Trios belts.
The Trios belts, which I've been saying
unveiled
for
the Trios
weeks.
Belts. We knew they were coming.
Yep,
we
and that's why we're
knew they were coming.
That's why we're talking about it one more time, because they are going to make their debut, and we'll likely talk about whoever wins the first ever Trios Championship or whatever the hell you might want to call it.
Now, from an aesthetic point, I will say this before we talk, before we continue to probably trash talk these Trios belts for the next little bit.
Yeah.
Visually, aesthetically, I think besides Big Platinum, the AEW Championship itself, they are the prettiest belts we've seen in a decade.
No.
Just from a collector's viewpoint, I think it's Big Platinum and the Trios belts. No. I like the design. I like the style of wording. I like everything about them.
I disagree with you because I think I've liked every single belt that AEW has come out with, including the Trios belts. I have no problem with the way they look. I think they remind me of the WCW tag team titles.
I agree. I completely agree.
And I think that's great for the Trios belts. I think they're great belts for the Trios belts in terms of aesthetics and what they look like. I think the whole concept of having them in your company is stupid.
Just so many belts right now. AEW has too many belts. Even if especially if you count the FTW title.
That is such a joke. I don't want to mention it on this podcast again. We're not mentioning the FTW Championship again. Ricky Starks lost it.
But Hook won it. I'm of the
That's
feeling
why there is
that
no more
I think
team
Hook.
Taz.
There's
no more team Taz.
I think it's a good thing that Hook has the FTW title, because if there's anybody that can put some prestige on it, can make that belt mean something, I think it's Hook. I think Hook can take a joke nonsense belt and actually make it meaningful. But AEW has too many belts as it is right now. They never should have introduced the All-Atlantic title, especially with these Trios belts waiting. They never should have done that.
You'll have to excuse Merc. He got hit on the head earlier, and that's why he's talking such rubbish about the FTW Championship.
Hey, you never know, man. Hook is a special talent. Hook is one of those once-a-generation guys.
Give him
Hook
the
is
All-Atlantic Championship or the TNT Championship.
You got to give him Daddy's belt for a little bit.
No, you don't.
I think you do.
I think that diminishes what he brings. I think giving him the FTW champion is about as expected as breaking up a tag team and having them face each other.
I completely disagree. I think it's the only thing you can do with the FTW Championship.
If
you're going to continue to have it.
Why? What?
Listen, they brought it in during the pandemic because when they needed an extra belt. You got to remember, there was a point when AEW only had the world title and the tag team belts and the women's title.
Yeah,
there was a point when they needed other belts.
And at that point, a gimmick belt, even though it's changed hands 2 whole times.
Yeah.
Why you needed to have a gimmick belt, but it also...
I mean, it did also kind of disappear there for a while. Like, it's not like Brian Cage was defending that thing every other week.
How long's the FTW Championship been at AEW?
Like, year and a half, 2 years?
Year and a half, 2 years. All right, so let's just go with the 2 years for a moment. Okay, so this belt's been in here for 2 years.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a prestigious belt.
No, hold on, I'm not done yet. And it's had three people holding it, okay?
Yes.
Now, if this was any other title, that is extremely prestigious.
Yes.
Why is it not for the FTW?
Because it's not recognized in any way by AEW. It's not like they hold rankings for the FTW belt.
Yeah, but that's not the only reason.
I mean, because it's Taz's belt.
It's never defended.
Brian Cage defended it every now and then. Ricky Starks defended it more than Cage did. But I think we're going to see Hook.
Ricky Starks defended it, including his match with Hook, 6 whole times, and Brian Cage defended it 3.
He did it more than Brian Cage did anyway.
Listen,
I think we're going to see Hook defending that belt every fucking week.
Of course
I think we're going to see.
But I don't. It's a joke now. No one cares about it now.
But give it 6 months to a year with Hook, and maybe people can. I'm not saying that it's a prestigious belt now. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it is a gimmick belt. It's a gimmick bullshit belt now.
I'm saying get to Hook 6 months ago.
If there is anybody that can put any prestige, that can put any import on this belt, it is Hook. I think you give the FTW belt to anybody else, it weighs them down, it drags them down. You give it to Hook, I think he can do some shit with that belt.
I'm going to prophesize.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to prophesize right now. I think Hook wears this belt for 6 months, maybe 8. And I think one time when he's walking by a trash can, he turns and drops it into the trash can and realizes, excuse me a minute. And I think that would moment he would be like, I'm done with this fake toy. I would like a real title. And then I hope that they actually give him, and then I hope that they actually give him a real title. Because I think Ricky Starks should be the All Atlantic champion, and I think Hook should be the TNT champion.
That's my opinion. Pac has the All Atlantic title right now. Pac is a great champion.
But he also still hasn't defended it. But I've seen
Ricky Starks. He has defended it.
One time on Dark.
He's only had the belt for like 2 weeks. What the fuck do you expect him to do?
We're way beyond 2 weeks.
Maybe 3. Maybe
we're
3. And he defended that belt in Japan. Like, he had a Japan run. He hasn't been on.
Okay, good. Then I accept that. I accept that and stand corrected, Pac. That if you were defending it in Japan over there, because some companies are defending their belts in AEW. I have absolutely no problem with AEW defending their belts in
no, absolutely not. I believe Thunder Rosa had a belt or had a fight in this. I don't know if it was the same place, but she was also just recently in Japan defending the AEW women's belt too.
And my final prophesizing for the evening is going to be for the Trios Championships. I think by the end of next year they will cease to exist, and we will not see them at all.
Tony Khan has built this company since day one for those Trios belts.
And they're going to be gone next year.
I disagree. I think we'll be seeing these Trios belts for years to come.
Nope. No. And where am I getting? Why do I feel the way I feel? Go back and look at the history of every Trios belts that has ever existed. They're made for one team. That team feuds with another team. The team the belts were made for wins. They throw some other random teams at them to defend the belts, 6 months or so, and then no one gives a crap. So the belts don't even get brought back out on TV.
Nobody has done a Trios division the way AEW has ever. They have built their Trios division from day one with the Elite, Jungle Boy and Christian Cage,
which aren't a team anymore.
But they have done Trios since the beginning. Since the very, very beginning.
I don't think they're...
Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston is a trio. You get Mox Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson. You get the House of Black.
Please
you get there are so many great trios teams in AEW that... absolutely.
The guys that you were talking about, years of trios matches. In Jericho stable, the tag team. Or not Jericho stable, with
Santana and Ortiz?
Yeah, Santana and Ortiz. Please don't give them the trios
Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston?
Please give them the tag belts. Please put them in the tag title picture.
I think they should be next. Santana's injured as fuck right now.
I know
his knee's all fucked, so he's going to be out for God knows how long.
I know, it's so terrible. Why haven't they been the champions? Why aren't they the champions? Why weren't they the champions going into that match where Ortiz hurt himself? Or Santana? Which one was it? I'm sorry.
They had so Santana hurt himself.
It's just I'm sorry. They should have been champions long before now. They should have been the champions multiple times. They should be in the tag title picture. Santana and Ortiz are a great team, and they should be not going for trios titles. They should be going after the tag titles.
In my opinion, the Hangman Kenny Omega storyline could have done just as fine without them being the tag champs. I don't think Hangman and Omega should have been tag champs. I think that should have been Santana and Ortiz's run.
I agree.
I think you can do the Hangman v Omega storyline, especially for the title, without involving the tag team titles. I don't think you needed those belts in that picture.
That's why I don't think you need even the trios titles. The tag teams are great right now. You finally just had your first triangle match, your first triangle tag match.
Just because the trios belts come out doesn't mean that the tag belts are going to take any sort of hit or anything like that.
You can't. Yes, it's the same thing. It's just with an extra dude.
Exactly,
yes,
it's a different thing. It completely changes the match, in my opinion.
They're
Tony Khan's opinion more than obviously.
Well, Tony Khan, you need some better advisors. Again, my email is jdboilingpoint@gmail.com.
I completely disagree with John here. On this issue, I could not be more I think these trios belts are going to stick around. I think we're going to see some really great battles. And I see the House of Black getting them. I see the Jericho Appreciation Society getting them. This gives a reason for the faction warfare. This gives the factions something to fight over other than just you beat me up in the middle of this battle royal, now we coming after you. It gives the faction something to war over.
I'm not convinced. I still think they're gone by next year.
I completely disagree, and I guess we'll see who's
I hope I'm wrong. See, the difference is, though, I hope I'm wrong. I do hope that I'm wrong. And there's no reason for you to hope you're wrong, because that would be good for the company.
I want to see those
I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I just want to be clear. Just because I'm saying that this is going to happen doesn't mean that I'm not secretly hoping that how wrong I am. Please, I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. So that's going to be it. I think we pretty much covered all we wanted to cover.
Good episode
do you want me to do the Excalibur challenge?
Yeah, let's see it, John. Let's see it.
All right,
now as fast as you can without screwing up.
Yep, Merc wants me to do the Excalibur challenge.
I'll rate you on a scale from 1 to 5 masks.
1 to 5 masks. I love
1 to 5 masks. Once you're done, we'll see if you can put
Excalibur. If you want to leave a comment after this. All right, so let me just look. I want to just look it over real fast.
You already lost half a mask.
Excalibur
would have been ready.
You already... Well, I got to have it on my thing here. He's got people. He's got people to bring his screens up. He's got people to bring his screens up. I don't have people yet.
All right.
All right. So, you can... First, let me start off with Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter
There we go. Follow me at
Twitter. At Mayhem Prez. You can follow him at Master of Merc. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Mayhem Media. Just search Mayhem Media. Also, our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Parler, Facebook, and Rumble. Our storefronts are bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz, and that's with a Z in it. Coming soon, new Mayhem Media t-shirts on that storefront. I am your host, JD. That is the Master of Merc.
That was like a 2-star. You got to get that speed up, homie. You got to get that speed up. Follow me at Mayhem Prez. This is Master of Merc. Follow us on Rumble, YouTube, Mayhem Merch. You got to get that speed
Mayhem
up,
Merch,
homie.
and he already lost a mask too.
Mayhem Merch, there we go. Oh yeah. I'm like a 1-star, maybe a 2-star or mask announcer.
Yeah, we'll get better. But anyway, that's what it is. Thanks for joining us. Share it out, please. Leave us a comment. That's the end.